The signal from beyond. The vast emptiness of space stretched endlessly around Frontier Station Artemis, humanity's farthest outpost from Earth. Inside the station's primary sensor array, Lieutenant Samira Khan massaged her temples as she finished hour 14 of her 16-hour shift. Nothing but routine stellar phenomena, and the occasional merchant vessel had crossed her screens all day. "Just 2 more hours," she muttered, taking another sip of her synthetic coffee. That's when her console emitted a soft, urgent beep. Samira straightened immediately, fatigue forgotten as her eyes focused on the incoming data. A signal, faint but unmistakably artificial, pulsing from a star system nearly 30 light-years away. "Commander Hayes," she called, voice steady despite her racing heart. "I'm detecting an anomalous transmission. Pattern indicates a distress signal on an unusual frequency." Commander Elijah Hayes moved quickly to her station, his weathered face serious as he studied the readout. "Can we decode it?" "Working on it now, sir." Samira's fingers moved rapidly across her station. The computer analyzed the strange waveforms for several minutes before producing a result. "It's definitely a distress call, sir. But it's not using any known protocol from Earth or our allied species." Hayes nodded grimly. "Send it to Earth Defense Command immediately. Priority Alpha." 3 days later, aboard the EDF flagship Valkyrie, Captain Alina Reyes stood with her arms crossed, studying the holographic display of the unknown signal. At 42, Reyes had served in Earth's military through its most significant conflicts, earning a reputation for both tactical brilliance and unflinching resolve. Her dark hair was pulled back in a tight bun, and a thin scar traced her jawline, a souvenir from the Mars insurrection. "Play it again," she ordered. The hologram flickered to life, showing a slender, green-skinned alien with large compound eyes. The beam trembled visibly as it spoke in a melodic language that sounded like flowing water. "Translation overlay," Reyes commanded. The computer's voice provided the translation. "This is an emergency broadcast to all spacefaring civilizations. Our people, the Zeleni, are under attack by Karak warships. 3 of our colony worlds have already fallen. They show no mercy to civilians. Our defensive capabilities are insufficient. Please, if anyone receives this message, we beg for assistance before our entire species is eradicated." The message ended abruptly in a burst of static. Silence fell over the Valkyrie's bridge. "What do we know about these species?" Reyes asked, turning to her intelligence officer. Lieutenant Commander Darius Chen activated a second holographic display. "Very little, Captain. The Zeleni are an unknown species to us. Their territory lies beyond our explored space. Based on visual analysis, they appear to be photosynthetic humanoids, suggesting evolution on a world with abundant sunlight and minimal environmental hazards. And these attackers, the Karak? Even less information available. No previous contact with humans. The name translates roughly to dominant hunters in several alien linguistic databases." Reyes nodded slowly. "So, someone we've never met is being exterminated by someone else we've never met, 30 light-years from our nearest colony." "That about sums it up, Captain," Chen confirmed. Commander Marcus Ortega, Reyes XO, spoke up from his station. "Captain, with respect, we have no alliance with these Zeleni, no treaty obligations. This isn't our fight." Reyes studied the frozen image of the terrified green alien. "Maybe not, Commander. But what happens when these Karak finish with the Zeleni? Will they be satisfied, or will they keep expanding? Keep hunting?" She turned to face her crew. "History has taught us what happens when aggressors go unchallenged." The bridge remained silent as her words sank in. "Besides," Reyes continued, a cold smile forming, "we humans have a reputation to maintain." In the secure conference room of Earth Defense Headquarters in New Sydney, Admiral Victor Okoye reviewed Captain Reyes' assessment with the Joint Defense Council. "The Zeleni homeworld is here," Okoye said, pointing to a star system on the galactic map. "Based on their distress signal, We estimate 3 of their colony worlds have already fallen. The Karak fleet is moving methodically toward their home planet. Council Representative Sanjay Mehta frowned. Do we have any strategic interest in this region? No direct interests, Okoye admitted. But preliminary data suggests the Zeleni are scientists and philosophers. Their technology, particularly in the fields of medicine and energy production, appears highly advanced despite their lack of weapons development. Dr. Naomi Takahashi, the Council's xenobiologist, spoke up. From what little we can determine, the Zeleni evolved on a world with minimal predators and environmental hazards. Their physiology suggests vulnerability to temperature extremes, radiation, and physical trauma, challenges that humans have evolved to withstand. So they're soft, Counselor Gregory Williams said bluntly, and these Karak are taking advantage of that weakness. Essentially, yes, Okoye confirmed. A slender green figure stepped forward. Vale, the first Zeleni to reach Earth after their desperate signal was received, bowed respectfully to the Council. Unlike the trembling being in the distress call, Vale had composed himself admirably for this crucial meeting, though the strain was evident in his large eyes. My people have always believed in peaceful coexistence, Vale said, his translator converting his flowing speech into English. For thousands of years, we have developed arts, science, and medicine. We never imagined we would need to develop weapons of war. And now you're paying the price for that naivety, Williams said, earning sharp looks from several other council members. Counselor Admiral Okoye warned quietly. Vale, however, showed no offense. You speak a difficult truth. We were unprepared for the universe's harsher realities. Council Chair Sofia Rodriguez leaned forward. What exactly are you asking of Earth, Ambassador Vale? Help, Vale said simply. The Karak Armada will reach our homeworld in approximately 18 of your days. 12 billion Zeleni live there. Without intervention, they will all die. Rodriguez glanced at Admiral Okoye. What forces can we deploy in that time frame? The Third Fleet is closest to the jump point. 16 warships, including the Valkyrie. Captain Rice has already volunteered to lead the response. The council members exchanged glances. Representative Lena Chen spoke the question on everyone's mind. And if we commit these forces, what do we gain from this intervention? Vale's large eyes blinked slowly. Alliance. Knowledge. Our medical technology alone could double human lifespans, but more importantly, he paused, choosing his words carefully. You gain a universe where predators do not prey upon the peaceful with impunity. A heavy silence fell over the room. Finally, Rodriguez stood. Ambassador Vale, I must warn you. If we commit to this action, you should understand something about humans. When we fight to win decisively. Our methods may seem excessive to your people. Vale bowed his head slightly. At this point, Counselor, we will accept any help that saves Zeleni lives. After a brief deliberation, Rodriguez spoke again. Admiral Okoye, you are authorized to deploy the Third Fleet to the Zeleni system with all necessary resources to repel the Karak invasion. In orbit above Earth, massive warships powered up their engines. The Third Fleet, humanity's most advanced battle group, prepared for war against an enemy they had never met, in defense of a species they had only just discovered. On the bridge of the Valkyrie, Captain Rice addressed her crew and, by extension, the entire fleet. The mission before us is unique in human history. We go to war not for territory, not for resources, not even for our own safety, at least not immediately. We fight because someone who cannot fight for themselves has asked for our help. She paused, her eyes moving across the faces of her bridge crew. The Karak have made a grave error. They believe that because the Zeleni are peaceful, they are defenseless. They are about to learn that the Zeleni have something far more valuable than weapons. Her voice hardened. They have us. From the back of the bridge, Vale watched in wonder as the massive human warships formed up around the Valkyrie. He had never witnessed such weapons, such single-minded preparation for combat. "Will this be enough?" he asked quietly to Commander Ortega. The commander's expression remained grim as he monitored the fleet's formation. "Ambassador, you're about to see why most species who encounter humans quickly decide we're better as allies than enemies." He looked up, his eyes reflecting the determination of his species. "We evolved on a world that tried to kill us every day. Now we're bringing that world to the Karak." The engines of Earth's warships flared to brilliant life, propelling the fleet toward the jump point that would take them to the Zelini system, where humanity would demonstrate why you should never underestimate the descendants of Earth. Commander Ortega turned to Vale with a grim smile. "You called for help." The Deathworlders answered. Part 2. Wrath of the Deathworlders. The human fleet emerged from the jump point at the edge of the Zelini home system, 16 warships cutting through space in perfect formation. On the Valkyrie's bridge, Captain Rice studied the tactical display with cold focus. "Stealth systems engage," reported Lieutenant Wei, the operations officer. "All ships running silent." "Deploy recon drones," Rice ordered. Full spectrum scan of the system. Within minutes, the data began flowing in. Commander Chen analyzed the incoming intelligence, his expression darkening. "Captain, I'm detecting 32 Karak vessels in orbit around Zelenia Prime. They've already begun orbital bombardment of major population centers." Vale, who had insisted on accompanying the fleet, made a sound like rustling leaves, a Zelini expression of distress. "We're too late." "No," Rice said firmly, turning to face him. "The bombardment means there's still something to save." She turned back to her crew. Tactical assessment. Commander Ortega studied the data. "The Karak ships are larger than ours, heavily armored with significant firepower, but their formation is rigid, predictable. No scouts, minimal perimeter security. They're not expecting resistance." "Their mistake," Rice said coldly. She opened a channel to the fleet. "All ships, this is Captain Reyes. Operation Thunderstrike is now active. Battle groups Alpha and Beta will execute pincer maneuver. Valkyrie will lead the direct assault. Prepare dropships for surface operations." She gestured to the communications officer. "Establish contact with the Karak command vessel." After a moment of calibration, the main view screen flickered to show the interior of the alien ship. The Karak commander was tall and powerfully built, with dark exoskeletal plating and multiple yellow eyes arranged in a predatory configuration. Its mandibles clicked as it regarded the human with obvious surprise. "This is Captain Elena Reyes of the Earth Defense Force," Rice stated, her voice level. "You are attacking a protected world. Cease your bombardment and withdraw immediately, or be destroyed." The alien made a sound that the translator interpreted as laughter. "Unknown vessel, this system is claimed by the Karak Dominion. Interference will result in your elimination." "I don't think you understand the situation," Rice replied calmly. "We're not asking you to leave. We're giving you the chance to leave alive." The Karak commander's mandibles clicked rapidly in what might have been amusement. "Your handful of ships threatens our armada. What species are you to make such bold claims?" "We're humans," Rice said simply. "From Earth." The commander paused, clearly accessing data. "Earth, a high-gravity world." "Deathworlders," it muttered, using the term some species used for humans. For a moment, uncertainty flickered across its alien features. "No matter," it declared finally. "You are outnumbered and outgunned." "Are we?" Rice asked as she cut the transmission. At that instant, the human fleet dropped their stealth systems, appearing on Karak sensors in perfect attack formation, already within optimal firing range. "All ships," Rice commanded, "execute Fire Plan Alpha. Target their engines and weapon systems." The human warships opened fire simultaneously. Precision energy beams and kinetic projectiles tore through the surprised Karak vessels. 5 enemy ships exploded immediately, their shields unable to withstand the concentrated assault. On the Karak command ship, alarms blared as the commander struggled to comprehend what was happening. "How did they get so close?" it demanded. Where did they come from? Unknown, dominant hunter, an officer replied, using their species honorific. Their stealth technology exceeds our detection capabilities. The commander watched in mounting horror as human ships executed maneuvers that should have been impossible, turns at speeds that would have torn apart Karak vessels, acceleration rates that would have killed Karak crews. What are these creatures? It whispered. Meanwhile, on the surface of Zelenia Prime, Major Diana Santos led a team of 20 human soldiers through the burning ruins of the capital city. Their mission: evacuate survivors and gather intelligence on Karak ground forces. The Zeleni they encountered stared in wonder as the humans moved through conditions that would have killed their own kind. The air was thick with toxic smoke from damaged infrastructure, yet the humans operated with only basic breathing filters. Temperatures near burning buildings reached levels that would have caused Zeleni's cellular breakdown, but the humans pushed through with minimal protection. This way, Santos called, directing a group of Zeleni civilians toward a sheltered underground transit hub. Stay low and follow Lieutenant Park. A Zeleni elder approached her, his skin paling to a yellowish hue, a sign of extreme stress. You came to help us, he said, his voice filled with disbelief. How can you survive these conditions? Santos helped an injured Zeleni child to her feet. Earth makes these conditions look pleasant, she replied. This is nothing compared to wildfire season in Australia. Suddenly, the ground shook as a nearby building collapsed, releasing a cloud of chemical vapors from damaged research equipment. The Zeleni began collapsing immediately, their respiratory systems failing. Santos checked her armor's environmental readings. The chemicals were indeed lethal to Zeleni physiology, but human bodies could tolerate brief exposure. Without hesitation, she removed her helmet. Everyone, masks off, she ordered her team. Give them to the civilians. The human soldiers immediately complied, removing their protective gear and helping the most vulnerable Zeleni don the equipment. But you'll be exposed, gasped a Zeleni scientist as a soldier fitted him with a breathing mask. We can handle it, Santos replied, wincing as the acrid chemicals burned her lungs. Earth's industrial districts have worse air quality than this. She checked her wrist computer. We have about 10 minutes before these concentrations become dangerous to us. Move out. As the humans led the Zeleni through the burning city, breathing toxic air, enduring heat that blistered their skin, lifting debris that would have required 5 Zeleni to move, the aliens witnessed firsthand what it meant to be saved by Deathworlders, beings whose very evolution had prepared them to survive where others could not. In orbit, the battle had turned decisively in humanity's favor. The Karak fleet, caught by surprise and outmaneuvered at every turn, had lost 14 ships already. The remaining vessels attempted to regroup, but the human warships pursued them relentlessly. They're trying to reach their command ship, Ortega reported, attempting to establish a defensive perimeter. Don't give them time, Reyes ordered. Execute Phase 2. From the human ships, dozens of small objects shot toward the Karak vessels, too small to register as significant threats on their sensors. These surprise packages, as the human crews called them, attached to the hulls of the alien ships and began drilling through their armor using nanomachine technology. Within minutes, the packages breached the hulls and deployed their payloads. Swarms of combat drones no larger than insects that infiltrated the ship's systems, disrupting communications, weapons, and life support. As chaos spread through the Karak fleet, Reyes opened a channel to the command vessel once more. Karak Commander, your ships are crippled. Your weapons disabled. Surrender now. The Karak leader's mandibles clicked furiously. How? How is this possible? You are outnumbered. Numbers mean nothing, Reyes replied coldly. You hunt those who cannot fight back. We evolved fighting everything, including ourselves. Your entire species could not match what humanity has endured just to exist. On the view screen, the Karak commander seemed to shrink. What do you want? Unconditional withdrawal from all Zeleni territory. Reparations for the worlds you've destroyed. and a buffer zone between your territories that will be monitored by Earth Defense Force outposts. And if we refuse? Reyes' expression didn't change. Then we will show you what happens when Deathworlders go to war. The silence stretched for several long seconds before the Carrack commander lowered its head, a gesture of submission. We accept your terms. 3 days later, Captain Reyes stood in the Zelini Council chamber, an enormous dome of living crystal that reflected the planet's golden sunlight. Before her stood the Zelini High Council and thousands of citizens who had gathered to witness this historic meeting. High Elder Zoliv, his green skin lustrous with health despite the ordeal his people had endured, addressed the assembly. For the first time in our recorded history, the Zelini faced extinction. We, who have always valued peace and learning above all else, had no defense against the hunters that came from the stars. He turned to Reyes and the human delegation. And then came humanity, a species unknown to us, with no obligation to intervene, no treaties binding them to our fate. The elder extended his slender arms. They came because we asked for help, because it was right. They fought with a ferocity and courage that we cannot comprehend, in conditions that would kill our kind. They'd bled for us, died for us, killed for us. Vale stepped forward, now officially appointed as ambassador to Earth. The universe has many terms for humans. Some call them aggressive, unpredictable, dangerous. Some call them Deathworlders, a term meant to inspire fear. He looked at Reyes with newfound understanding. But we Zelini will call them what they truly are: guardians, friends, the shield that protects those who cannot protect themselves. Reyes stepped forward to address the assembly. The Carrack believed that because you were peaceful, you were weak, that because you chose not to fight, you deserved to be conquered. She looked out over the sea of green faces. They were wrong. She gestured to her officers standing beside her. Humans understand something the Carrack do not. True strength lies not just in the ability to destroy, but in the choice to protect. You Zelini chose peace not because you were weak, but because you were wise enough to recognize its value. Reyes straightened, her voice carrying to every corner of the vast chamber. Earth extends its hand in friendship and alliance to the Zelini people. Together, we will show the galaxy that peace is not the absence of strength, it is its greatest expression. As she finished, the chamber erupted in a sound like wind through a forest, the Zelini expression of joy and approval. In that moment, two species from vastly different worlds found common ground: the peaceful philosophers who had reached for the stars in search of knowledge, and the battle-hardened survivors who had clawed their way to the stars despite a world that had tried to kill them at every turn. The Deathworlders had answered the call for help, and the galaxy would never be the same.